these blinds a little bit because I'm getting
We are
washed
live.
out.
Awesome. So we are live. My name is Alexi Anastasio, and I'm here with...
Hi, I'm Dmitry, and I'm director of Pigeon 3D animated short.
Awesome. And we are both filmmakers that were selected very selectively through a contest that is put on by Ovation TV.
It's very exclusive.
Yes, which is a channel in the U.S., a channel in the United States, and a crowdfunding platform called Rocket Hub.
Mm-hmm.
And they've both been super, super awesome throughout the process. We basically already won. You know, like everybody in the contest has already won, just even being in the contest.
Yeah, it's really great exposure for everyone. It's not many platforms that support local artists.
No, exactly. And now, especially since crowdfunding has been around for a little bit, for them to still be innovative and really, you know, grassroots and kind of like pulling out the roots of the process is admirable.
Right.
So, Dmitry, tell us about your project.
Okay, sorry, just adjusting the blinds, the lights like blinding me. Okay. Well, Pigeon is a story about grief and about community support. It's about a community of old widowed men and their park pigeon friends that meet every morning at 6 a.m. for a big feeding. And then there's one pigeon without an old man who is really acting up and kind of being a jerk to everybody. You realize throughout the short that he's actually grieving a loss, and he's pushing everybody away. And it centers around the time of grief where everyone's kind of moved on except you, and you're mad at everyone for doing that. And I don't think there's a lot of stories about that window of time. So I wanted to do that, and I wanted to do it in a very lovable and quirky slapstick way. So I have a lot of, you know, goofs and gags, including like just a bunch of wacky pigeons doing ridiculous, like tweaky things, and then old men just kind of enjoying the fact that their bodies are getting old. So I wanted to create a short that's very cute and clever and sweet, but at the same time have a really socially conscious message throughout it.
Mm-hmm. Which is super important. I've, especially this year, gotten through some deaths of friends of mine. And it's interesting how you're like, oh yeah, like a big thing that happened this year is that my good friend, like one of my closest, passed away. And they're like, yeah, but didn't that happen like months ago? And I'm like,
that's not very sensitive, is it? No. Yeah, it's something that I feel like it's never really talked about a lot. And it's not, certainly not talked about with little kids, which, you know, they'll go through. And you can't really hide that from them, either in their personal life with like a older family member, or, you know, some relative, or perhaps a friend, or perhaps just watching it on the news because it's on the news all the time, in sometimes very violent ways. So it's really an important subject to talk about and handle responsibly when you do.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. I agree. So I want to talk about kind of like not your past, like before. Okay. This is not your first project?
Actually, it is.
It is.
This is my.
But your first project ever? Or like, how did you?
Well, this is my first. I would say this is my first like actual film. I mean, I went to film school, so I've done a bunch of like little student work, but this is my first actual film where I feel like it's an actual brand and it's an actual, you know, product that I'm going to be releasing out, stuff like that. So no, I would say that it is completely my first film.
Cool.
I've had little experiments before.
Awesome. Nice. Yeah. So where did you go to film school?
Emerson in Boston.
Oh, cool. Awesome. I'm also from the East Coast. I'm from
Nice. Where at?
From Long Island.
Long Island, right?
Yep. I went to SUNY Purchase.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say
I lived in New York before I moved to Boston. I lived in Queens. Oh. My first step on American soil, and I lived there for like 5 years before moving to Boston.
Oh, so where are you from?
Russia.
Ah,
I was born in Russia, and technically left as a refugee in '92. So fall of communism '91, country in chaos. And my family, a lot of people couldn't leave, and my family and I got refugee status and left. And then lived in New York till '97, and then moved up to Boston.
Wow. So do you have a lot of Russian filmmaker or art influences?
No. Well, I mean, sort of, because my when I was 6 when I moved, so even my Russian is like so, and basically, like, I talked to my parents and my grandparents, and that's pretty much it in Russian. But I did grow up watching the same movies, like my mom's favorite movies from the '70s, over and over again. So I'm sure there's something in there.
Awesome. Yeah, my mother is from Iran, and like she definitely showed me more foreign films growing up, and so I was very lucky to have also more of like a cultural background.
Mm-hmm. I find it interesting because so I moved when I was 6, and when you're 6 and you're starting first grade in a new country, you feel really weird, and so you want to just like, I'm not different. So you like shed all of that, and you're like, what are you guys watching? Power Rangers? Hell yeah. So that was kind of my process. But I had a really good friend whose little sister was 2 when she moved. And for her, it's a completely different story. It's this whole like story about where she came from that she never really knew, and she was fascinated with it. So she speaks much better Russian than I do. She's much more involved with Russian communities, and all her friends are Russian, things like that. So the concept of like your identity with the culture, it's really an interesting thing. I spent a lot of my life growing up not really embracing those sort of things, and then only like later on really getting more interested and looking around.
Yeah. In my film, my characters are trying to figure it out in living in Los Angeles, because that's also a lot of place people go to try to find their creative life, and especially these characters are looking for how to figure that out. So we have some really good stuff happening in the chat, so I want to open it up. But to finish the recorded section, where can we find you?
Where can you find me? What do you mean?
Yeah, like your website.
Oh, sure. Website is pretty simple. It's just kerpigeon.com. It has our latest trailer, which we'll be updating soon. And we have clips from everything. We have our whole crew list, which is like really long.
Yeah.
So everything that you need to know about the short, please go to kerpigeon.com. We're obviously on Twitter and Facebook, Kerpigeon 3D animated short on Facebook. So links all on the website. So please get involved, and obviously check out our Rocket Hub campaign and contribute. We have some really exciting things coming up, and we're pretty close to sending it out to festivals. 2016 is going to be a very big year for us.
Goody. So those of you watching the replay, the links are below, and spread the word.